If you've ever entered data into the wrong row by mistake, you're definitely not alone. Microsoft has quietly introduced a brand new feature called Focus Cell, and it's one of those little improvements that can make a surprisingly big difference to the way you work. Let me show you.
So hello again. I've got a sample dataset open here with a few hundred rows of data in it. I don't know about you, but I've often been working in a large Excel worksheet like this and suddenly thought, hang on, which row am I editing? It's especially easy to lose your place when you're working across dozens of columns or hundreds of rows. Your eyes have to keep traveling back to the row numbers and column headings just to make sure you're updating the correct record. So now Microsoft has quietly introduced this brand new feature called Focus Cell, and it's one of those little improvements that can make a surprisingly big difference to the way you work. So this worksheet's got a few hundred records, as I say. I'm going to click somewhere down here. Let's go down to row 147 and then move across several columns. Now, imagine you're checking figures, updating stock levels, reviewing employee records, or working through a customer database. Any of these things, sort of regular occupations. Everything looks very similar, and after a few minutes, it's remarkably easy to lose track of exactly where you are. You find yourself constantly glancing back at the row number and column headings just to stay oriented. Now, that might not sound like much, but over the course of a day it becomes surprisingly tiring, and it's exactly how mistakes creep into spreadsheets. So now let's switch on this new feature. I'm going up here to the View tab on the ribbon, and then I'll just click Focus Cell. That's it. Now watch what happens as I move around the worksheet. Notice how Excel automatically highlights the active row and column headings, making it instantly obvious where the selected cell is. It seems like such a small change, but your eyes no longer have to hunt around the screen to work out where you are. Excel does all the hard work for you. So let's take a real-world example. Imagine your manager asks you to review 500 sales records. Halfway through, someone phones you. You deal with that, and then someone asks you a question. You answer an email. When you come back to Excel, it's very easy to lose your place. With Focus Cell enabled, it's immediately obvious exactly which row and column you're working on. So it's one of those features you didn't realize you needed until you started using it. So let's compare the two. I'll switch it off. So immediately finding the active position takes a little more concentration. Even though Excel puts a border around the selected cell, it's still difficult to see. Now I'll turn it back on. The active location jumps out straight away. So it's a subtle improvement, but after using it for a while, you'll probably find you didn't want to switch it off again. And of course, you're not stuck with the default color. If you click the little drop-down button over on the right-hand side, you can change the color to something you prefer. So if you want it to really stand out, you could turn it yellow, for example, or green, or whatever you like, really. So, who will benefit from this? Well, I think this feature is going to be particularly useful if you regularly work with financial reports, if you work with customer databases, stock lists, project plans, large Excel tables, anything with a lot of rows and columns. In fact, the larger the worksheet, the more valuable this becomes. So Focus Cell isn't one of those flashy new Excel features that's going to make headlines. Instead, it's something much better. Quietly makes everyday spreadsheet work easier, reducing the chance of editing the wrong row, and helps you stay focused when working with large amounts of data. Personally, I think it's a really welcome addition to Microsoft 365. So, I post practical Excel and Outlook tips every week, including new Microsoft 365 features like this one as soon as they arrive. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for news of my latest videos. There's a discount coupon linked to my Udemy course in the description. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.